Brad with Nomad Cycles. I like to do show and tell with cool bikes that are good for conversions, and today I have a Delta Trike. Delta Trikes just means two wheels in the back, one in the front, kind of your standard trike. The other option is a tadpole, which is two wheels in the front and one in the back. That's more of a recumbent. So I wanted to talk about this one because most Delta Trikes, and you know, people that are looking for trikes, I'm talking to you, beware. Don't buy something on the internet just by the way it looks, thinking about what it's going to do for you. A trike with one wheel in the front and two in the back, you cannot turn that thing if you're going faster than like 5 miles an hour and not have it try to flip over. So big warning, Delta Trikes, which is like more of your standard trike, kind of like this, like that. When you turn the front wheel, if you turn it to the right, the whole trike wants to pitch to the left, and the opposite. If you turn it to the left, the trike wants to pitch to the right. That's why in the 80s, all those three-wheelers that people were dying on in the sand dunes became outlawed, and now we have four-wheelers. But we do not have bicycle four-wheelers at this time. Maybe that will change. Anyways, I'm going to tell you about this bike because this trike is a little different. This trike is the first Delta Trike that I've felt comfortable putting our motor on. See the mid-drive right here by the pedals. There. So this is the first trike that I felt comfortable putting that mid-drive on there and not being super worried about the end rider that's going to be riding this thing around. If you're looking for a trike for your balance and for your sense of safety and for your comfort and ease of use, be careful of buying the Delta Trikes on the internet, or ride one first, and then I don't know any electric one that's better than taking this Sun Baja Trike and putting a motor on it, the mid-drive motor, right there by the pedals. So you're not going to find one like that just ready to go, but you can convert one, and I can help you. And I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what's up with this one. So there's a couple of things going on here. The first one to notice is that the pedals right here are a little further in front of the rider instead of directly under the seat. So the further the pedals are forward, the lower your weight is, the less tippier the trike is. Another thing is the distance from the rear axles to the front axle. The longer that distance is, the less tippier it is. And also the same thing with the distance between the rear tires. The longer that distance is, the less tippy it is. But you still want it to fit through a door. So they're usually not very much wider than that. This one has a couple of reasons why I feel more secure on it. It still can tip, so you got to be careful when you're taking your corners. And not do it at speed. As a matter of fact, right here it says a warning, tipping hazard. That's just for your information. But on this guy, your handlebars are sitting up really high. You're sitting up, your legs are further out in front of you. The wheelbase is a little bit longer. The pedals are a little bit further and more in front of you, so it's a little less tippy. And it also has good braking, which is usually hard to come by with a trike. Like, the Schwinn Meridian is probably the most mass-produced and sold trike. I would not put this motor on that. Well, for one thing, it has a kick brake on the Schwinn Meridian, and you can't kick these backwards because it just freewheels. Instead of having a kick brake, this one has disc brakes. Disc brake on the front, disc brake on the back. Down there in the middle, you see that disc brake? It runs to the axle. And you got all your gears. So the motor's going through the gears. You have a transmission with the motor power. I could definitely say go load this thing up, run it up any hill you want with this motor power. It's not going to stop it. Usually I'm not a great fan of the fat tire things. Usually it's, especially on e-bikes, the only reason that there's a bunch of fat tire e-bikes out there is because there's an affordable hub motor made that's at fat width. So they're building the bikes around that hub, not because they think fat tires are cool, but they try to make you think fat tires are cool, and it actually makes it really much harder to pedal. These, on the other hand, first of all, the brand of tires, the V Speedster, that's a much lower rolling resistance, so you don't feel like you're pedaling through sand when you're not. which is common with all the other ones. And with that motor power, gosh, it doesn't even matter. But this is, I think, the coolest, most handsome, most actual rider-friendly Delta trike that I've ever done a conversion with, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. If you wanted to have a Delta trike, the Sun Baja is the brand of this, and you can get one of these motors and have it put on. I could put it on for you. I could send you one, whatever. But the Sun Baja trike, definitely worthy as a Delta with an electric assist. The only thing I wasn't super happy about was that this bottom bracket is a wider shell, like it's a bigger circle around than most bicycle bottom bracket shells, which would be this size. So we got an adapter from Luna. You could find that from their site, or I could provide one for you if you want. So just popping that in there definitely solved the problem. You can see we just ran all the cables right up close with the frame of the bike. They're all wrapped and pretty looking. This thing is neoprene wrap. It's Velcro, and I covered these connectors. So if there's ever you're needing to service it or troubleshoot it, you can just pop that off and you have all of the access points right there, easy to use. I also use the 500C display here. It's, the thumb buttons are integrated, and the screen is right there next to your thumb. I got that because oh wait, hello, push the button there. Let's see, oh, there we go. I got that so that you're not trying to have a screen down here and then the buttons down here, you can't reach them. So we use the 500C display on that. I'd suggest, if you're doing this trike, to use the same. And other than that, it was pretty clean install. We did the integrated lighting on this. You can or don't if you want or don't want to, but it's pretty slick. 2,000 lumens. So we got, see, that's a daytime running mode on, and then 2,000 lumens. And because of that lens, the light is actually facing in and the lens is reflecting it out, and it does it in a smart way so you're not blinding everybody that you're facing. So you can see pretty well with it, which is rare for e-bike headlights for this kind of motor speed. But you're not blinding people that are coming up. Also, for the taillight, we did this little bracket on the end of the basket. To recreate that for you if you want. You can recreate it. There it is. And so it's a rack mount rear light, and we just ran the wire right, ran the wire right through the basket and down. So if you're doing this yourself, you can see the idea of how to make it work. And that's it. Verdict is Baja Trike, thumbs up. Take care, y'all. Keep the rubber side down. All right, the video's over, but if you want to stick around for some of the geeky technical details and you're doing your own install, I'm going to go through a couple of the things that you're going to want to pay attention to. First of all, we got a thumb shifter here. So the stock trike came with this grip shifter. Grip shifters are, not as crisp on the shifting and harder to work with the gear sensor, which is an inline sensor that tells when you're shifting to turn off the motor for that split second, so that the derailleur's not trying to pull a chain while the chain is under stress. Changing to that thumb shifter required changing to some lock-on grips rather than the foam grips that came with it. So these are some lizard skin grips. I already showed you about the 500C display. Definitely recommended for this job. Let's see, what else? The gear sensor. It's not always easy putting these things in, and you're usually going to have to put in a new gear cable. So you're going to have to put in a new shift cable when you do it. Just plan on that. But what we do pull out the old shift cable, cut the housing, add the little plastic furls on each end of the cut, and then slide a new cable through, put it through the sensor, all the way into the derailleur, and rehook it up. Here, so these are some new pedals. This did not come with the new bike because this one-piece crankset, which is hugely heavy and old school, that one-piece crankset has a different diameter for the pedal threads. So these are the pedal threads that fit with the one piece, but they're not wide enough to fit into the crank arms of this motor system or most any modern bike. So there's that. We had to swap that out, as well as the bottom bracket adapter that we showed you before, to go down in size. This would be, I just wanted to mention, so this has the cable actuated disc brakes, which is great. The disc brake's way better than a rim brake, and I think it's pretty good. This bike is riding really well just with the brakes that it came with. But when you're doing all this stuff, if you wanted to upgrade to hydraulic brakes so that you're not having to do brake adjustments all the time, which you do have to do with the cables, you have to put a tool in here and adjust as the pads wear. With the hydraulic brakes, as the pads wear, they're just going in and out with the hydraulic fluid. You don't have to do any adjustments. So if you wanted to upgrade to hydraulic discs, it would be the time while you're doing this job. That way everything's all in the same cables and everything. With this long chain line, it's pretty forgiving, but it also has room for bouncing. And we found that when you're in the lowest gear, the chain, if you bounced on a pothole at the right moment, the chain could pop off to the inside of your chain ring. There's a couple ways to deal with that. The cheapest is just this little guy right here. So it hits that and can't bounce around any further. So that's Third Eye chain watcher. So that's a easy product, easy fix right there. Let's see what else we got. Oh, the speed sensor. You're gonna want a speed sensor extension cable, the long size. So this is your speed sensor here, and every time, let's see, right there. Every time this magnet goes past it, it counts the rotation. So you want it to be close enough to the magnet to pick that up. And so in order to get our sensor there, we did a little engineering, and we used this whole aluminum bar all the way up and over the whole distance from both of these bolts to hold this thing steady so it can't move back and forth, and gets the sensor where it wants to be. So two things: you want the speed sensor extension cable that just goes onto here and then plugs in where this had plugged in. So it's just an extension cable, and then this just flat stock to get it sorted out. And the last thing that was out of the ordinary, well, it's not really out of the ordinary, just in general, when you're doing these, you want your wires to be all tidy. See, we got some heat shrink over the power connection here, and we're using these Velcro wraps to cover over all of our plugs so we can have access to them. It's not a lot of money, but it adds a lot of tidiness and just a clean look, which we all appreciate. So that was a little extra bit for you folks doing your own technical installs. Hope that helps. Bye.